Welcome everybody to episode 2 of the Solo versus Squads commentary. My name is Wilmy. We're going to go ahead and jump into this VOD of me winning a Solo versus Squads map. I'm going to start off here in Tilted, which is one of the more dangerous places to start off because you don't exactly know what happens and there's a lot of action. So I start off dropping into Loot Lake. My goal here is to land over by the basketball courts. So I kind of start at a farther distance in order to make it so I'm the first one to the basketball courts. Let's go and speed this up a little bit. And the reason for this is that I know there's a chest usually that spawns on this wall. So once I break through this wall, it's going to go ahead and put me in. Let's drop into gameplay. And that allows me to get a rifle right off the bat, which will put me in advantage, in front of a lot of other people who might not have dropped and got a good gun off the bat. Also, a shotgun is always handy to have, especially in this meta. So right here, what I'm doing is I'm kind of taking some time. When people first drop into Tilted, there's a lot of movement that happens. A lot of people running between buildings. A lot of people like kind of panicking, don't know where to go because they don't have a gun yet. So in this position, I'm able to kind of keep an eye out on this side over here, which allows me to pick up quick kills if someone's kind of pushing and trying to panic and find a gun. So that's what I'm doing right here. So I notice after a while nothing's happening, it's clear. So I'm going to go start harvesting and looking for gold chests. So that's the usual spot. There was nothing there, I was unlucky. Go ahead and farm up. Now this is something that people usually don't do when they first start playing the game, is when you drop into these highly populated areas, there are wood and materials there for you to harvest. A lot of people don't think about it, but you should be, as soon as you drop in, you pick up your first weapon, you need to start harvesting up, because when someone pushes you, you need these materials to help defend yourself. So pro tip for anyone starting out, go ahead and farm up these materials anytime you drop and give yourself a chance. So yeah, checking out the bathroom. It's another gun. I could have picked up the gun and kind of done this double pulse weapon, but I decided against it. So here I'm just kind of looking for people. These windows here are usually an easy way to get a quick kill. I don't find anything, don't hear anything, so go ahead and push up to this next level. I'm still looking for the same thing. I'm starting to look for my first engagement, but I don't find anything. So let's go ahead and speed this up since there's not a lot of action here. I'll go ahead and pull out. Oops. So when it comes to tilted towers, you kind of want to take the high ground because it gives you the best position to find people and start taking aggression on your terms. So this is kind of what I'm doing here by taking this high ground. I block off the two holes that were in the floor just in case someone decides to push me from inside the building. And it gives me a little bit of, a start time when I start hearing the audio cues from them knocking down the walls. It gives me a chance to get ready. So in this situation, I really don't find anything for a while. I don't notice these people over here because I was worried since I heard gunfire from my left. So as you can see, there was a lot of opportunities for me to get more kills, but unfortunately I just didn't see them. Alright, so this particular position that I'm in here is a little bit vulnerable. I don't exactly like it. You're going to see that there are going to be people in this building in a second. But if you think about it, it's just like a bad spot. Because I have this wall here on this side that is blocking me. But at the same time, anybody from behind me, where I came from, this building and this building, have free shots on me. And my thinking process here is that I'm looking towards this building. I'm looking through the windows to see if I can get a quick kill, but nothing really pops up for me. So this is a huge risk I'm taking. I wouldn't suggest it. There are probably better ways to do this. But I think in this particular position, I'm just looking for kills because I have not seen anybody. And I need to basically get more materials. I need to get more weapons because right now I'm just rocking this silver pump, which is not the best starting weapon. So let's go ahead and drop into gameplay. So here I'm just kind of looking around, looking behind myself, making sure I'm not getting flanked. I hear the shot from this building over here. I see a person. And this is a really risky shot if I decided to take it, but I don't. But I do decide that there's nothing going on here. I need to start farming up materials. I need better weapons, so I'm I go for that chest there. It's not there. Someone's already looted here. Pick up the mat. And I kind of go push this person that was in this room over here. I do notice that there's something blue here. I'm hoping it's a blue pump, which it turns out to be. Farm up more materials. And there we go. So in this current meta, blue pump is insane. Any gun that gives you a chance at a one-shot kill of a headshot, and especially with the spread of a shotgun, is a weapon that you're going to always want to have. So here, I'm looking for the person who is breaking mats. I notice a fight over there. And let me just take a second to talk about this real quick. When it comes to solo versus squads, you want to take fights where squads are fighting each other. Because what usually ends up happening is you get these like engagements where, just imagine these are 1-by-1s, and they are so focused on fighting each other here that any sort of flank that comes from behind is going to be huge. It's going to give you an opportunity to kill a person. It's going to give you an opportunity to get a better position. So you're just getting free kills, basically. And when a person loses squad mates, they kind of panic, and it just basically opens up for you to get the win. So that's what I'm constantly looking for in solo versus squads, is two squads fighting each other, and then me kind of taking a look at the situation and deciding what I should do. So in this particular position here, we see that I see somebody. But if you take a look at the battlefield, there's a lot of cover, a lot of things that I can use in order to take an advantage. So by me downing this person, which we'll just go ahead and watch me do, I have now kind of put myself in a better position. I know that two squads are fighting each other, probably low health, and that's another great reason for engaging squads that are fighting each other. They're typically low health, or they're not 100 anymore, which is great for you. So here I'm just taking shots because really I can. I mean, there's this person's confused. He's like, who's shooting at me? And that's great for me. So go ahead and speed up a little bit. What we're going to see right here is going to be a person with a jetpack. And I have my own ideas about people with jetpacks. One of the things that I've constantly ran into when I'm fighting somebody with jetpacks is I build too high. So essentially, I'm attempting to counter their ability to vertically move up with my ability to build up, which in my view now is a mistake. I think the best thing to do when you're fighting a jetpack is to keep it at a single level or a double level tops. Because what you're doing by creating the 1-by-1 and kind of sitting in it is you're allowing them to have the advantage of their verticality. So you might be able to build up and up and up, but when you're building up, you lose a little bit of awareness of where the person is because you're spinning and building, spinning and building, spinning and building. And if you're a pro at this game, sure, like you'll be like, all right, I knew that he was on my left. Oh, I hear him like moving around, and that whole mechanic of building up isn't going to be as distracting for you. But let's say that we don't build up and we keep it 1-by-1. You're going to see kind of what happens and how a jetpack becomes almost a problem because it allows me. First off, this guy has no idea where I am. I kind of build up. So this guy in particular is a bot, but that is the part that I want to point to and why I think building a 1-by-1 or a second level is the highest you should go, is because when they shoot up, a jetpack only has the ability to move upwards or a direction that is already flowing. You can't change directions when you're mid-flight. You have to stop the jetpack and then move in a direction in order to get the momentum going, right? So what ends up happening a lot is that people will shoot up and they're like, I don't have mobility, I'm just moving straight up, I'm trying to shoot down at a person. And I mean, this is an easy shot for this person, especially if you're in the situation where you're not surrounded by walls. It's very easy to pick somebody out of the sky, which I think is the best. I mean, yeah, they have the same sort of advantage, but they can only move linearly. So they can only move in straight lines, right? And that should be an easy shot for you. That shouldn't take a lot of time. Now, the only variable that gives them the slight advantage is that anytime that you have high ground and you have a shotgun and you're shooting down at somebody's head, that spread is going to murder you because all they can see is the top of your head, and that's going to give them almost a guaranteed headshot. So I guess you take it, how you want it. I think that it's best to kind of keep your building to a minimum when you're fighting these people who have jetpacks. So little pinata action there. And this is me just kind of like farming up for a while. So you kind of see me farming. Hooray, I'm farming, I'm taking loot. Let's go ahead and switch to third person. So you kind of notice how like when you're in the jetpack, you can only move in one direction unless you stop and then kind of change your momentum. It's one of those things that is the disadvantage that I don't think a lot of people pick up on. And they kind of panic when they hear the jetpack. They think that, oh, this person's always going to have high ground over me. And, if you just eliminate that from the equation, you find that you might have a better chance. Especially if you're prepared for it. All right, so we're just going to kind of speed this up here. Not a lot to kind of talk about. In this situation, what I'm doing is I'm looking for rotators. So we kind of talked this on the last episode about rotations. And if you didn't catch the last episode and this is your first episode, welcome. But last time we talked about rotations. So I'm going to give a quick overview of rotations again, since that's what I'm doing. Rotations happen when people take fights in these locations. And you can kind of see what happened with me here, where now that I've won this fight, I'm now rotating and trying to decide, where I'm going. Now, in our last video, we had the circle over here. In this video, we are in the circle. So really, we don't have to rotate to get back into the circle. So we're kind of like, breezing through. So what I'm looking here is I'm trying to find groups that are coming out of Greasy because the rotations are going to be towards Tilted most of the time. They're not going to go to the Snobby Shores usually. They might stay in Greasy, but a lot of the times what ends up happening after these fights is people want to move on to new locations to get new loot. So in this situation, that's kind of like what I was looking for. I was looking for rotators at a Greasy. I was looking to catch them off guard and to kind of take fights where I have the advantage. All right, so let's go ahead and speed this up because we're about to get into a fight coming up. So what I'm doing is I'm kind of just looking around. I took a shot because I noticed that there are people building up there. All right, so I want to get into my gameplay here because what I did see, which we didn't pick up on, let's scoot back a little bit, is I see a player here. So I'm looking for a shot. I'm not really looking to take a shot here, and that's because I don't want to. He has the high ground, right? So it wouldn't be smart for me to kind of try to build up and take the fight there. So I'm trying to be sneaky here. So I'm looking around. I'm trying to keep the framing so I can see any sort of movement. And I see that he's building, so I'm trying to be sneaky again. And I misbuild, and this is very embarrassing because of this. Oh, and I couldn't use my jetpack there because I didn't want him to know I was there. So I decided against it. He's trying to like block himself off as if like people don't have mats. So I just kind of follow him up. He's not really paying attention or looking behind him. He thinks that it's safe, which it turns out not to be. So let's go ahead and speed up. So in this situation, I've decided that it's time to engage in this fight. I know that he is not part of the team that is up here. So I'm going to follow him up with my own aggression, which is going to hopefully work out for me. So I'm like, all right, let's go. So I'm fighting to get the high ground as fast as I can. I block his build, which gives me a chance to kind of take the high ground. I see that he's below me. He's not really a threat. I see his friend. I get that double pump. I miss my shot. All right, now I have high ground. I'm establishing my high ground. Let's go ahead and switch to drone free. Back up a little bit because we're going to see this person kind of make a mistake. All right, so this person's below me. This is a perfect example of why high ground is important. He can't really do anything. He tried to block me to build. He jumps into my 1x1 and we take the fight. I down him. So here's something that I don't see a lot of people doing. When you're fighting teams, especially in squads, you're constantly kind of worried about, the res and resing people off. So by me locking him into this little chamber, it does two things. One, he can't get away. And two, in order for his teammates to help him, they're going to have to break down the metal unless they built it. But in this situation, this is all my building. So they'll have to break it down to get to them, which will give me an audio cue that that's kind of like what's happening. So I'm setting up a situation where by blocking him off, by blocking him into this little prison cell, I'm creating an advantage for myself. So here we're just kind of building up. Let's go ahead and raise up a little bit. And we're going to see this person make a kind of a big mistake, which I'm going to talk about. All right, so this person is attempting to go up my spiral. And it might be better if I took the gameplay here. So right now, I'm sitting in this 1x1. And this person's below me, right? So he'll be the X, I'm low. So because this is a 3D game, let's go ahead and make this a terrible 3D box. Or whatever. Okay, that's terrible. But anyways, he thinks the best idea is, and he knows that I have this jetpack. So those two things you need to take into consideration before you start fighting. So one of the things you want to do, especially when you're a new player, is just take constant aggression and not really think about the fight before it happens. What you do over time is you kind of learn from your mistakes, and this in particular is a mistake that a lot of new people make. So they think that the best way to approach a situation where a person is in a 1x1 or a tower is to build these ramps on the side in order to build up to them, which is a total mistake because it's basically falling into the advantage of the person who's sitting at the top. So we're going to see this person wrap around me, and I'm constantly at high ground, so all I have to do is take shots at him. A better use of his time would have been to, instead of wrapping, is to build out this way. So build out this way, build a ramp, so there's one above you and one below you. Get to about 3, so you're about 3 away. Turn and build up and build a ramp. And the reason for this is because you're creating separation, because then I'm no longer on top of you while you're trying to wrap and attack me. And we create this like build battle where you now have a chance to get high ground. Whereas, I'm going to have to build up or come towards you while you're building that out, which, can work out in your advantage if like I'm up on this ramp and you've already made it out here and you built up. Well, now you have high ground and I'm now on your ramp. So I'm kind of forced to build this flat ramp and try to build, but you're already one above me, right? So that's why you see like a lot of pro players, instead of building up straight up like this where there's only like one spot between them, they actually build outwards because you need to create the distance in order to then build up to create that advantage again. So let's go ahead and take a look at how this ends up. And like I said, he goes down. I'm now editing to find his friend, or at least attempting to edit. And there we go. So let's go ahead and speed this up. I'm just gonna grab all the loot. I'm looking around, I'm framing, I'm making sure that, no one is around me. So while I'm doing this, let's go ahead and take a look at the map. So right now, I'm in the circle. I know that Pleasant is going to kind of be probably the ending ground, or at least around the ending ground. So what I want to do is I'm going to take a position where I know for a fact that I'm going to be okay. So this has a lot to do with rotations. You know what? Let me go ahead and pause this for a second, because this is kind of important, especially when you get down to these last circles. It becomes important because you need to know, where you should position yourself best in order to win any fight. And this is true in solos, duos, and squads. Position matters, right? So here's the circle we kind of were left with. We've seen that it's progressed and it's now a smaller circle, and it includes Pleasant like we thought it would. And so I want to take a position, because I'm a solo player, in a position that is away from rotation spots, right? So if you kind of take a look at the map, we have all this real estate, okay? And we came from Tilted, and then we rotated to Greasy, and then we rotated up. We took a fight on this mountain, and so here we are. So it's a safe assumption, and it's a bit risky, but I would say like it's 80-20, that this part of the map is safe. We would have ran into somebody if there were people here. Now there could be like a bush group who is hiding in bushes and not really exposing themselves, and all these fights that I took they weren't around for, but that's not likely. Like what is more likely is that the rest of the players are going to have started here in these kind of start locations, and they are now all kind of rotating either past Tilted, kind of towards Pleasant, around through acres. And these are the rotation routes, right? Because we've already eliminated this as a possibility. So now that I kind of know that, there might be a group already in Pleasant, and I'm going to take that into consideration. But there's this high ground that I think is totally worth fighting for, especially in the new circle. So I'm going to find people here, or it's going to be free, and it's going to allow me to create a base, which will give me any sort of advantage of people trying to come up the mountain. So that's kind of like where my thought process was in dealing with this situation. What did I do? I'm going to go back. All right. So let's go ahead and speed up. You're going to see me build up, trying to take the top of this mountain. And so I'm kind of framing, seeing if there's like anybody around. And as you can see, there are people around, and they were behind me, or at least they came from Pleasant, and they saw me build up. So they're going to try to find me and basically wipe me out. So I don't know about this yet. I'm still looking for people. I don't see anything. I saw a ramp. I'm looking back where I came from to see if there's anybody there. And I'm like, all right, I'm gonna keep going high ground. But as you can see, we have a couple little sneaky players who are looking for me. So luckily for me, I'm like, all right, I'm gonna get out of here. I'm still rotating to try to get higher ground, to find maybe teams that were building up and aren't expecting someone to attack them. So that's what I'm doing right now. Let's speed this up. And I think about here is where I take fire. Yep, so I take a shot. I'm like, whoa, turn around, build up, get safe. I try to take a return shot. I don't anticipate the bullet drop, which I should have. A really important thing that I did there, I took shots at both players. So both players, basically know that I'm aware of them, and they're not going to feel basically totally free to take shots at me, which gives me a little bit of time. Now they also, because I'm so far away, maybe they give up, which I think that they do here, because they don't expect me to come back and challenge them. So I see a person building away. I'm like, you know what? Let's go ahead and do this, because they're not expecting me. And this is a lot of aggression. Like, not in all situations you want to do this, but in this particular game, I was looking for aggressive fights. So I'm going to go ahead and build up and down, give myself a little bit of cover, and kind of misbuild. All while like not using my jetpack, because I don't want them to hear that sound trigger, even though they're going to hear the building sound triggers. But I mean, for whatever reason, they don't. I think in this situation they were using this fire pit to heal up. So we just kind of miss each other. So they don't know that I'm here. I'm looking for them because I'm looking for a fight. I don't see them, and I'm like, where could they have gone? I'm over here. Where are you? And I see that there is a drop. So I build up. I'm like, are they going for the drop? Where are they? I take a look at that fort again. And I just don't see anything. Oh, and I see them there. So we get a nice little visual, and I'm like, okay, maybe they're going for the drop. So I'm going to go ahead and use this drop to my advantage. And see, they're building out for the drop. All right. So a lot of you might be thinking, like, why aren't you fighting in this? Like, why aren't you taking this fight? And for whatever reason, I'm just not going to in this situation, because they're not looking at me yet. So I don't know if you've ever seen highlight videos of other games where players kind of follow around, and the one player is unsuspecting, and it just kind of becomes this comedic situation. But it's smart to let them think that they're safe, because they're going to put their guard down. They're going to stop moving. They'll maybe start healing up, or one of these things, maybe drinking a mini or a big pot. So that's what I'm kind of waiting for. I also know they're going for the drop, so I'm just going to wait. Because usually in drops there are chug jugs or other things like that. So here's a really good moment of me not panicking. I'm still focused on this person. This person has become the number one threat. So this is the number one threat. And I'm just like, all right, I'm going to wait for this person to start engaging me. I'm not going to engage them first, because there's no chance, he might have saw me, but the way that he's acting, he's not. So he's looking for other players. He's still looking for me. So I'm well aware of that. So if he turns and sees me, I'm taking a shot, but he didn't. And then, so there you go. So here is the person taking the drop, which I could have took a shot at, but I didn't get to him in time because I was worried about that other player. And unfortunately for me, there's just heals. And at this point, I'm like, all right, I'm taking the shot because they're not going to stop, and it's just time to engage. So I do a really smart thing here. I build up into the trees because that's not what they're going to be expecting. And hopefully I can get some sort of high ground on them. So we go ahead and do that. And I don't see them, even though this is the direction that they're running. I don't see any buildings, which is weird. And I saw them there, but I didn't react, I guess. So now I know that they're both there. I'm going to maintain high ground. And you're going to see me build up. Now, because I have the jetpack, it helps out a lot. I don't take fall damage. He's got high ground, but he jumped down. And so I reestablished high ground, and he is basically in trouble. I think he fell too far. I greed the player just so he has to help him or lose him, and which I think it worked in this situation because he then rushes up. I break his ramp. He falls down. I'm going to finish off the greed, but I don't get it. Then I see him building, so I'm like, all right, I'm going to build up again. Block his ramp. And where did he go? So his friend's dead. And I have high ground still. And I take the shot. And that is that. So in that situation, I mean, a really good takeaway is when it comes to squads or duos, if you hurt the friend, 9 times out of 10, that person's going to be like, I'm almost dead. I'm almost dead. You have to get to me now. You have to get to me now. You have to get to me now, which is going to cause panic in their teammate. And that teammate is going to be forced into a bad situation. So I had high ground. He was coming from below. I kind of greeted his players, so he got down to probably something like 10, 15 HP. So he was kind of forced, if he wants to keep his friend, to push me, which I had high ground. I was waiting for him. I came actually down to greet him to take his stuff, but he had already fallen down to his friend, so I don't really understand why he came up, but he did anyways to fight me. Maybe there was some miscommunication, but it worked out for me in the end. So here we're just going to see me healing up. All right, so healing. I'm taking my pots. I'm looking back, make sure there's nobody in that fort that we built earlier. In this situation, I was like, oh, wow, there's somebody there. So I'm going to sneak up on him. I mean, that's the best thing I can do. But if you look over here, there are only 7 people left, right? So for me, when there are 7 people left, I'm going to assume that it is a 3 versus 3 situation plus me, which means it's going to be 2 teams fighting each other. And like my last video, you're going to see that the majority of the time, I'm going to let 2 teams fight it out before I engage. Or I'm going to look for a situation where I can sandwich one team and pick people off. So in this particular situation, I'm going for the sandwich. This is comedic. I was just like, dude, you totally missed. You totally missed. And then I fall again, I think. I don't know. All right. So I'm up here. I take my first shot to down one person. He's not paying attention. And they're all dead. And I was just like, that's a weird engagement. I was like, all right, I'll take it. So I'm now fighting a team with rocket launchers, which is not my favorite. But I'm just like, all right, I'll take it slow. After each rocket, I'll go ahead and take my shots, which you should do. I whiff, and I want to get some damage, but then he knocks me off, which is a problem when you're fighting teams. Like, one of the hardest things about solo versus squads is what squads really should be doing when they're fighting a solo is just spamming. Because you can't, if 3 people are spamming at you, my buildings aren't going to last. And if my buildings don't last, I'm in a lot of trouble because I am completely on the defense the entire time. I can't set anything up. I can't get quick shots. I really can only, do basically 2 things. One, keep building, which is just basically a stalemate for me. Nothing's going to get done. It gives them a huge advantage. Or I'm going to have to get in between them and make it so firing on me isn't a thing. So you see that a lot of times with, Twitch streamers or professional gamers in this game. They'll use jump pads to eliminate this situation because this is never good for your solo versus squads player. So I'm just like, all right, build, get away. I get stuck, and I'm like, what the heck? So I rotate up. I'm trying to use the cover from the other team, and I'm trying to find spots where I can, sneak in a shot, which is just becoming super hard. So I do see that a player is pushing me here. So they, whatever reason, they decided that we're just going to go for the kill here. We're not going to keep spamming. I mean, they have this circle, so there's really no reason for this player to push. He's just greeting, and I take advantage of that because now there's only one person fighting me. I don't think I hit the person there. I think I hit behind them. So I see another person who's firing at my building like he should, and I hit him. It downs him. All right, so now we're in a 1 versus 2 situation, which means that, you know, what ended up happening, and we've talked about this already in this video, is that when you down a person, it's almost like human nature to want to come and help the teammate, and you really need to fight against that urge because you are still in a 2v1 situation. You still have the advantage, but by going to heal your teammate, you've created a 1v1 situation, which I love. So I'm looking for that. I'm looking for them to help their teammate. I see that he's going for it, and I'm just like, all right, I'm waiting. He sees me. I take the shot. He's down. Now it isn't actually a 1v1 situation. So in 1v1 situations, you're going to see me go full aggression. And so I'm just going to push this because I like 1v1s. I will take a 1v1 any day with any person, especially if this person thinks that he's going to heal. I think I'm just jump padding for fun to get the high ground. I didn't have to here, but for whatever reason, see, he's trying to heal his team up. I build the ramp. I knock down the person I had already knocked down. And that person's out in the open, get the headshot, and that's the game, right? So, yeah, nothing more I can say about that. In that situation, he should not have gone to heal his teammate. I mean, yeah, in this situation, it might have been better, but even if I didn't use jump pad, I would have been here by now. So the jump pad allowed me to position myself better in this situation because I got here before they both were able to get up. But even if both players got up, one of those players only has like 30 health. So all it's going to take is one shot with any gun to put him back down, and then I'm in a 1v1 situation. So this particular team could have done a whole lot better if they would have just, you know, when I downed that first person, then not helped. If they would have kept up the spray against my building because I'm one player, it was a 3v1. These are all things they could have done to win. And I was able to create 1v1 situations because they stopped shooting. They wanted to be aggressive. And that got them in trouble. So, yeah, I think the person who I first downed had the right idea. Keep spamming. But because his 2 friends stopped spamming, I was able to pick them off one by one. Then this player was like, oh, my teammate's down. I should go pick him up. I downed him. And then his friend was like, all right, let me build around him and pick him up, which put them at a disadvantage because, one, they should have built this off. This should all be walls. That shouldn't be a thing, too. They should have enclosed themselves, and they didn't because I'm just one player, even if I could have got to them in time and started blowing down walls. That's still a 2v1. You can build out of it, and you can build up. So all in all, I hope you guys appreciated the video. I'm doing this for you guys. I thought that this might help a bunch of newer players to see what a solo versus squad win looks like and what exactly goes on during that play and why I'm doing the things that I'm doing. So if you like the video, go ahead and subscribe, hit the like button, do all that fancy YouTube stuff. And leave a comment so I know that someone out there is watching and that I should keep doing these. All right. Appreciate you guys' time. You guys have a great day. Take care.